Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Teena Jha with the news. It's been a hectic day for India on the diplomatic front today. The Prime Minister of Nepal, Sher Bahadur Devba, and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov are on official visits to the country. They met External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today. Details of their meetings, what did the Russian Foreign Minister say after his meeting with the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, all the other updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Also, key bills tabled and discussed in Parliament today. All that and much more over the next 30 minutes. As always, first, let's begin with the headlines. Russia reiterates commitment on trade with India. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov meets Prime Minister Modi. India favors dialogue to resolve Ukraine dispute, says External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Lok Sabha passes Constitution, Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Order, Second Amendment Bill. Indian Antarctica Bill also introduced in the lower house. Prime Minister Modi gives the mantra of success in examinations to students, urges them to approach exams as a festival. GST collections touched record levels. March revenues reach 1.42 lakh crore rupees. On the first day of the new financial year, BSE Sensex jumped 708 points. And Ukraine-Russia peace talks continue. Russian forces shell Kiev and other cities. Russian military hands back control of Chernobyl nuclear power plant to Ukraine. A quick look at what else made news through the day today. South Korea Air Force planes collide mid-air. 4 pilots reportedly killed. RBI extends timelines for banks to use lockable cassettes in ATMs by March 2023. Over 81 lakh women beneficiaries provided guarantees for loan under ECLGS till 28 February 2023. Terrorist killed in encounter with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Shopian district. Heat wave sweeps north, central and western parts of the country. IMD asks people to avoid sun exposure. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann introduces resolution in State Assembly demanding immediate transfer of Chandigarh to Punjab. Andaman and Nicobar Islands becomes COVID-19 free. Enforcement Directorate seizes residential house of Mangaluru businessman Iqbal Ahmed under FEMA. Odisha celebrates Foundation Day. The President, the Vice President and the Prime Minister greet people of the state. 9th century sculpture of Lord Vishnu recovered from Jhelum River in Pulwama district of Jammu and Kashmir. The top story of the day today, Russia has said it will welcome any Indian initiative to support the negotiation process between Russia and Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said this in New Delhi following his meeting with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Friday. Russia also offered India enhanced oil supply and other materials on negotiated terms. More details in this report.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov led delegation-level talks with the Indian side in New Delhi. Both pledged to keep mutual relations stable and usual. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said India favored diplomacy to resolve Russian issues with Ukraine.
Bilateral relations has continued to grow in many areas, and we have diversified our cooperation by expanding our agenda. Excellency, our meeting today takes place in a difficult international environment, quite apart from the pandemic. India, as you are aware, has always been in favor of resolving differences and disputes through dialogue and diplomacy.
Lavrov appreciated India's independent stance on Ukraine developments. He said Russia has faith in Indian diplomacy and any Indian initiative to resolve the issue will get Russian support.
Strategic partnership, even especially privileged strategic partnership, as our Indian friends called it some time ago. And this was the basis on which we have been promoting our cooperation in all areas, economy, military, technical, humanitarian, investment, and many other fields.
Lavrov also assured the Indian leadership that all supplies from Russia will remain intact. If needed, there could be ruble-rupee trade to escape the impact of American and European sanctions. Before concluding his India visit, Russian Foreign Minister met Prime Minister Modi and conveyed greetings from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Akhilesh Suman, Sansad TV.
We'll get you more updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict later in the bulletin. But for now, let's move to some important developments from Parliament. The Lok Sabha passed the Constitution, Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Order, Second Amendment Bill on Friday. Responding to the discussion on the bill, Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda said the bill is an effort to ensure development of the tribal community. The bill proposes to amend the Constitution, Scheduled Castes Order 1950 and the Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Uttar Pradesh Order 1967.
आज़ादी के लंबे कालखंड में जब हम अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं, उस लंबे कालखंड में आपके जो सैंक्शनड स्कूल थे वो 167 थे, लेकिन आज सैंक्शन स्कूल 669 है। आपके समय में फंक्शनल स्कूल 119 था और आज फंक्शनल स्कूल 367 है।
The Indian Antarctica Bill 2022 was also introduced in the Lok Sabha. This bill provides a regulatory framework for India's research activities in Antarctica. Earth Sciences Minister Jitendra Singh said the bill was brought only with the aim of curbing illegal activities in Antarctica. It is also mandatory under an old treaty.
It was made mandatory for all the 54 countries that whichever area is occupied by your setup, you enforce your country's law.
Yes.
And in order to honor that, this bill has been brought to seek the sanction of the Parliament.
Earlier, opposing the bill, Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said the bill should be sent to a select or joint committee of Parliament for thorough scrutiny.
I am simply suggesting the concerned minister that given the technical deficiencies and other draft error, better you should send it for further examination to any select committee or joint committee.
Please.
Moving on, President Ramnath Kovind is on a visit to Turkmenistan and the Netherlands. Upon his arrival in Turkmenistan, the president was accorded a guard of honor. The visit assumes significance as India and Turkmenistan complete 30 years of diplomatic relations. Also, it comes just 2 weeks of the new president of Turkmenistan taking over. President Kovind will hold a meeting with the new president, followed by delegation-level talks and signing of several MOUs between the two countries. The president will then visit the Netherlands on the 4th of April. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Friday addressed the Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav 2022, organized under the aegis of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Vice President said festivals like these strengthen our culture and traditions. He added that Sanskriti Mahotsav has played an important role in disseminating folk and tribal art, dance, music, cuisine and culture in different states, thereby strengthening the government's goal of Ek Bharat, Shreshth Bharat. And Prime Minister Modi on Friday advised students not to take stress during examinations. He said students should understand exams are a natural part of life. Interacting with students appearing for board examinations in the 5th edition of his Pariksha Pe Charcha, the Prime Minister urged parents and teachers not to impose their unfulfilled dreams and aspirations on children. The Prime Minister also answered questions posed by several students. Listen in.
जो किया है उसमें विश्वास भर करके आगे बढ़ना है। हो सकता है 1-2 चीजें छूट गई होगी, एक आध चीज में थोड़ी जितनी मेहनत चाहिए नहीं हुई होगी, उसमें क्या है, लेकिन जो हुआ है उसमें मेरा आत्मविश्वास भरपूर है तो वो बाकी चीजों में भी वो ओवरकम कर जाता है।
Prime Minister Modi also advised students to take examinations as a festival. He said online education should be taken as an opportunity. In fact, the Prime Minister also mentioned that the national education policy has been wholeheartedly welcomed by every section.
ये स्पर्धा नहीं तो वो स्पर्धा नहीं तो वो स्पर्धा नहीं तो वो, ये रास्ता नहीं तो ये रास्ता, ये रास्ता नहीं तो ये रास्ता। मैं समझता हूं कि हम इसको अपॉर्चुनिटी माने, एक अवसर माने, और मैं इन अवसर को छोड़ूंगा नहीं, मैं इस अवसर को कभी न कभी जाने नहीं दूंगा। ये भाव अगर पैदा करेंगे तो मुझे पक्का विश्वास है कि कंपटीशन आपके लिए इस युग के सबसे बड़ी सौगात के रूप में आप अनुभव करेंगे।
And back to the other big diplomatic news of the day. Nepal's Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Devba arrived in Delhi on Friday on a 3-day official visit. This is Devba's first bilateral foreign visit after taking over in July 2021. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks with Devba on matters of bilateral importance. India and Nepal have centuries-old traditions. In recent years, both countries have made significant progress in cooperation in several fields. Prime Minister Devba is scheduled to also meet Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and hold talks with Prime Minister Modi as well on the 2nd of April. On Friday, the Nepalese Prime Minister also visited the BJP office in New Delhi. He was welcomed by BJP National President J.P. Nadda. Prime Minister Devba will also visit Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. News now from across different states of the country. Two NDA candidates, Pabitra Margarita of BJP and Rangara Narzari of UPPL, were elected to the Rajya Sabha from Assam. Margarita got 46 votes, while Narzari got 44 and Bora got 35. All 126 MLAs of Assam Legislative Assembly cast their votes, and one vote was found to be invalid. Union Home Minister Amit Shah took part in the 115th birth anniversary program of Shiv Kumar Swamiji of Siddhaganga Mutt in Tumkuru, Karnataka. He said the message of the Swamiji will be remembered for ages. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi targeted the central government over inflation and unemployment. Speaking at an event in Bengaluru, he alleged that the government had destroyed small-scale industries. That's what he said. And he also told Congress leaders that they should aim to win 150 seats in the upcoming state assembly elections. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath gave instructions for the effective implementation of Mission Shakti from the 2nd of April. He called for running special campaigns in schools, colleges and markets. Mission Shakti is a self-help endeavor to empower women by promoting self-help groups to take up various socio-economic activities. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot reviewed the law and order situation in the state by holding a meeting with IGs and superintendents of police. He laid stress on measures to better strengthen the law and order situation in the state. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel released the Congress manifesto for the Khairagarh by-election. It includes a promise to make Khairagarh a district. It also reiterates the party's resolve to increase several facilities. The Supreme Court has dismissed the plea of the Maharashtra government to set up a special investigation team to probe the corruption case against former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. The CBI is currently investigating this matter. And a look now at what's happening on the economic front. Well, there's good news on the GST collection front. Revenues have reached an all-time high in the month of March. According to the latest figures, March GST collection touched 1,42,000 crore rupees. In January, the collections touched 1,40,986 crore rupees. The GST revenues in March 2022 are 15% higher than the corresponding period of the previous year. The stock markets kicked off FY23 on a positive note. It started the day muted and in line with global markets, but strengthened as the day progressed as the broad market picked up and buying increased in sectors like banks, power and realty. Cabinet approval for mega power policy, drop in crude and also improvement in global futures ignited the rally. The Bombay Stock Exchange benchmark index Sensex closed with the gain of 708 points at 59,277, up 1.21%, while National Stock Exchange's Nifty 50 went up by 206 points and closed at 17,670, a gain of 1.18%. A closely watched quarterly gauge of business sector sentiment in Japan, called the Tankan, carried out by the Bank of Japan, found the benchmark indicator for large manufacturers dropped for the first time in 7 quarters. It meant a weaker outlook. Naturally, markets were disappointed. Moreover, no progress in Russia-Ukraine talks also spoiled the day for traders. Overall, it was not a very good day. Japan's Nikkei fell more than 0.5%. South Korea's Kospi was also down by 0.5%. Taiwan weighted ended the trade with a 0.4% loss. However, Shanghai Composite went other way and closed with 1% gain. And with that, time for a short break here, but coming up on the other side, for the first time, scientists have deciphered the complete human genome. Details on that story when we return. Do stay with us.
What more can be done to make BIMSTEC a stronger, more effective and result-oriented organization?
Investment that India has done into these relationships is enormous.
All economies are growing, but they will not grow together unless they are linked through hard connectivity.
How should BIMSTEC respond to the Chinese challenge?
BIMSTEC itself, I think from India's perspective, is a response to China.
G20 cannot succeed if BIMSTEC region does not succeed.
Welcome back. You're watching the news. Let's now get you all the latest updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Zelensky said the situation in Donbas region remained extremely difficult, reiterating that Russia was building up forces near the besieged city of Mariupol. The US also says that Russia is refocusing its military efforts on the Donbas region, which could herald a longer, more prolonged conflict. Here's a detailed report. Ukrainian forces are pushing back Russian troops northeast and northwest of the capital, Kiev. Videos released by the Ukrainian military on Friday showed 8 Russian tanks with V signs. The tanks were burnt and smoke was still coming out of it. Ukrainian soldiers also claimed Russian forces had destroyed several houses in the area. They fear that Russian withdrawal may be temporary. Even Western experts believe that Russians are regrouping in other directions. After days of massive bombing, the last few days have been comparatively calmer for residents of Kharkiv. They came out and cleared the debris of the compound, which was shelled a month ago. 8 people died here. On the other side, Russia also carried out victory processions. The Russian Defense Ministry shared footage of what it claimed to be fully operational T-65 tanks abandoned by the Ukrainian army on the outskirts of Chernihiv. Russian army claimed that in the face-off at the Luhansk region, it inflicted heavy casualty on Ukrainian forces, killing 40 soldiers and destroying military gadgets. According to news agency Reuters, Vladimir Putin will speak with his Turkish counterpart Erdogan on Friday. It comes after Istanbul hosted Russian-Ukrainian peace talks on Tuesday. Erdogan has said Turkey is ready in principle to act as a security guarantor country for Ukraine, but details of such a format would need to be worked out. Ukraine has proposed adopting neutral status, that is, not joining military alliances like NATO or hosting military bases, in return for countries offering to be guarantors of its security. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. After weeks of threats to cut off Western nations from its natural gas supplies, Moscow warned unfriendly foreign countries to start paying for gas in rubles or it will halt their contracts. European nations, of course, have called it a blackmail. Russian President Vladimir Putin has sternly said countries that have imposed sanctions on Russia will have to pay for Russian gas in Russian currency, ruble.
Если же такие платежи не будут производиться, будем считать это неисполнением обязательств со стороны покупателей, со всеми вытекающими последствиями. Нам никто ничего бесплатно не продает. И мы тоже не собираемся заниматься благотворительностью.
Reacting to Putin's statement, French finance minister said, contracts are contracts and they need to be rigorously respected. He insisted that contracts in euros will be paid in euros. The German chancellor also refused to accept any changes in already completed contracts. He insisted that Russia will be paid in euro. Ever since the sanctions, Russia has been under economic constraint. Its major banks have been barred from international operations and its currency has taken a huge hit. Under the new gas buying rules, a designated bank will open 2 accounts for each buyer, one in foreign currency and one in ruble. Buyers will pay in foreign currency and authorize the bank to sell that currency for ruble, which are placed in the second account where the gas is formally purchased. It is Putin's game plan to counter sanctions, but will it work? With over 42% gas dependency on Russia, Europe will seriously look for other options. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. And moving on now to some other news stories from across the world. The Sri Lankan police fired tear gas to disperse hundreds of people protesting against fuel shortages and rising prices near the president's private residence. The crowd stoned 2 army buses that the police were using to block the protesters from entering the road leading to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence in Colombo. Residents are enduring daily power cuts due to a shortage of fuel to operate the generating plants. Thousands of people camped out in Buenos Aires to demand an increase in social plans, jobs and higher wages. While the government gives out unemployment doles, the protesters say it is not enough. Most protesters receive a social payment of 16,000 pesos, while the minimum wage is 33,000 pesos, but a soaring inflation of nearly 58% is making it hard for nearly 37.3% population to cover their food expenses. A Pennsylvania police officer was killed and 2 others injured in a shooting incident. The officers had gone to a home for a domestic disturbance call when nearly an hour later gunfire broke out and they were hit. All 3 officers were taken to hospitals. One of them was pronounced dead. The second one is currently in critical condition, while a third one is reportedly stable now. The suspect, a 34-year-old man from Lebanon, was killed in the shooting. Egypt and Norway signed an agreement for several projects to enhance cooperation in developing renewable energy. Egypt is trying to launch environment-friendly projects in the lead-up to the 27th UN Climate Change Conference in November. The agreement envisages projects for the production of renewable energy, green hydrogen, and green infrastructure in African countries. The Taliban raised their largest white flag over Kabul's historic Wazir Akbar Khan Hill yesterday. Abdul Salam Hanafi, Deputy Prime Minister of the Taliban interim government, led the ceremony. It comes the same day when the United Nations pledged efforts to raise billions of dollars for beleaguered Afghans. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said nearly all Afghans do not have enough to eat, and some have even resorted to selling their children and body parts to get money for food. News now from the world of science and technology. For the first time, scientists have deciphered the complete human genome, opening the door for medical discoveries in areas like cancer, heart disease, and dementia. The first draft of the human genome was revealed back in 2000, but it was missing 8% of over 6 billion individual letters of the DNA that the human genome is made up of.
An international team of scientists have finally assembled the full genetic blueprint for human life. They have described a complete human genome. It is the set of instructions to build a human being in research published in the journal Science. The previous effort was incomplete because even after updates, it was missing about 8% of the genome.
One potential concern would be that, okay, this is just a single individual's genome. It happens to be of European ancestries. Can this really represent a human genome for all global populations? And, with some minor caveats, the answer to that based on our study is yes. Like, this improves genetic analysis for individuals all across the globe.
But even after the current breakthrough, questions remain. Scientists say the full picture of the genome will give humanity a greater understanding of our evolution and biology, while also opening the door to medical discoveries in areas like aging, neurodegenerative conditions, cancer, and heart disease. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And NASA is getting ready for the SpaceX Crew 4 mission to the International Space Station. The mission will be NASA's latest crew rotation flight involving a U.S. commercial spacecraft carrying astronauts. NASA officials on Thursday spoke about their efforts and the importance of mission safety. The Crew 4 mission will carry 3 NASA astronauts and a European Space Agency astronaut as well. Astronaut Jessica Watkins will be the first African-American female astronaut to have a 6-month stay on the space station. NASA officials said that her presence is part of the NASA's effort to make space flight more diverse and more relatable to everyone. And time now for all the sporting action. So the qualifiers are done and all eyes are now set on the draw for the FIFA World Cup 2022 to be played in Qatar. The draw will take place at the Doha Exhibition and Convention Center in Qatar in a short while from now. Names of 29 out of the 32 countries to play in Qatar 2022 are clear. The remaining 3 slots are to be decided in playoffs. In match number 8 of the Indian Premier League 2022 being played at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium, Kolkata Knight Riders are taking on Punjab Kings. KKR have 1 win, 1 loss record so far in the tournament, while Punjab Kings surprised many by chasing down RCB's total of 205 runs, registering a win in the only match that they have played so far in the ongoing IPL. Lucknow Super Giants registered their first win of IPL 2022, defeating Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets. Chasing a target of 211 runs, Lucknow Super Giants reached 211 for 4 in just 19.3 overs. Wicketkeeper batsman Quinton de Kock top scored for Lucknow with a knock of 61 runs off 45 balls. Meanwhile, in the same match, Chennai's Dwayne Bravo took a wicket to become the highest wicket taker in IPL. Bravo went past Sri Lankan legend Lasith Malinga, dismissing LSG batter Deepak Hooda as his 171st IPL wicket. Meanwhile, Pakistan defeated Australia by 6 wickets in the second ODI to level the 3-match series 1-1. The series looked all over for Pakistan once Australia piled up 348 for 8 on the board, riding on Ben McDermott's maiden ODI century. But the hosts batted superbly to register their highest chase in ODI history and also level the series. Babar Azam scored 114 in the run fest, while Imam ul Haq contributed with 106 runs. And in tennis, Serbia's Novak Djokovic will stay as the world number 1 as his challenger Daniil Medvedev lost in the quarterfinals of the Miami Masters. Medvedev lost to defending champion Poland's Hubert Hurkacz 6-7, 3-6, thus losing on an opportunity to reclaim the world number 1 ranking from Djokovic, who has had an off and on season so far due to his stand on vaccination. And before we wind up the bulletin, a quick relook at the headlines. Russia reiterates commitment on trade with India. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov meets Prime Minister Modi. India favors dialogue to resolve Ukraine dispute, says External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Lok Sabha passes Constitutional Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Order Second Amendment Bill. Indian Antarctica Bill also introduced in the lower house. Prime Minister gives the mantra of success in examinations to students, urges them to approach exams as a festival. GST collections touched record level. March revenues reached 1.42 lakh crore rupees. On the first day of the new financial year, BSE Sensex jumped 708 points. And Ukraine-Russia peace talks continue. Russian forces meanwhile shell Kiev and other cities. Russian military also hands back control of Chernobyl nuclear power plant to Ukraine. So that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time.